Welcome to this explainer on the Wayback Machine and the literally monumental mission to save our digital history. You know, we kind of have this habit of thinking the internet is permanent, right? Like it's this etched-in-stone vault of human knowledge, but honestly, the web is incredibly fragile. Links break, servers crash, and entire websites can just vanish overnight, taking all their data right along with them. So today, we're cracking open the source data behind an incredible initiative that's actively fighting this digital decay. We're going to look at what they save, how they actually pull it off, and how you can jump in and participate yourself.
And the irony in the source data here is just profound. When someone tried to access a very specific archived article, the Wayback Machine's error logs kicked back this exact frustrating message. We've all hit a 404 dead end before, right? It's the digital equivalent of staring at a blank wall. But when we're talking about archiving, that 404 represents a piece of history that has actually slipped right through our fingers.
And this missing URL really highlights the ultimate problem with the internet. It was trying to load a technology review article literally titled, "The Library of Babel is Everywhere." Now, if you aren't familiar, the Library of Babel is this famous concept of a permanent, infinite library holding all possible knowledge. So yeah, an article discussing an infinite, indestructible library just vanished from the web without a single trace. Poof, lost to the 404 void.
Which really begs the question, if an article about permanent, infinite knowledge isn't safe, what else are we losing? Literally every single day, early software, historical photos, and cultural commentary are at risk of being completely wiped out. If we don't have a system to capture these moments in real time, we're basically looking at leaving behind a digital dark age for future generations, with these massive permanent gaps in our historical record.
Okay, moving on to Section 1. Welcome to the archive. According to the source material, the Wayback Machine is an initiative run by the Internet Archive, and it is not just some basic search engine or a corporate tech product. It's a dedicated mission to treat the web exactly how a traditional library treats physical books. They recognize that our digital artifacts have immense, irreplaceable cultural and historical value.
To really wrap your head around the sheer scale of this project, get this, you can search the history of more than 1 trillion web pages, 1 trillion with a T. They are taking constant, real-time snapshots of the internet as it changes, evolves, and, well, disappears. That means if a web page goes down today, there is a very good chance the Wayback Machine has a snapshot of exactly how it looked yesterday, or last month, or even 10 years ago.
But their mission goes way beyond just websites. They're actually out there restoring access to over 500,000 books, literally rescuing them from the digital void. They're bridging that massive gap between traditional print media and the modern digital era, making sure hundreds of thousands of written texts stay accessible to the public for research, education, or just preserving them for the future.
All right, Section 2, Inside the Digital Collections.
If you ever find yourself missing the early days of computing, the agonizingly beautiful screech of a dial-up modem, their software arcade is an absolute goldmine. You can dig up original MS-DOS games, boot up a classic Doom-level CD, and actually experience vintage software exactly how it was decades ago. Because they aren't just saving the lines of code, they're preserving the whole interactive experience of early digital culture.
And for the audiophiles out there, the Audio Wing preserves just an astonishing range of sound. They have this massive live music collection, most notably featuring live Grateful Dead concerts. But it goes back way further than that. We're talking old-time radio broadcasts, incredibly rare 78 RPM records, and early cylinder recordings. Plus, they capture the modern audio landscape too, archiving contemporary podcasts and digital net labels.
Their commitment to our shared visual history is just as wild. The video archive captures raw broadcasts of world-changing events, housing daily TV news and programs like Democracy Now!, but they also maintain these highly curated, critical historical collections, things like the Understanding 9/11 collection, the amazing historical films in the Prelinger archives, and raw, on-the-ground footage from the Occupy Wall Street movement.
They also host incredible visual and textual resources, basically acting as a universal library for millions of documents and historic photographs. On the visual side, you can explore detailed USGS maps, breathtaking NASA images, and the massive Flickr comments. And for text, they collaborate with initiatives like Project Gutenberg and American Libraries. This ensures that these massive collections of literature and government documents stay freely available to literally anyone with an internet connection.
Let's jump to Section 3. Tools to save the web.
So, the absolute best part about all this is that anyone, including you, can actively participate using their Save Page Now tool. And it's incredibly simple. You do not need to be a programmer. You literally just enter a URL into the prompt and hit save. That's it. The Wayback Machine immediately captures the web page exactly as it looks right in that specific moment. From then on, you can use that archived link as a trusted permanent citation, knowing for sure it's never going to turn into a 404 error.
And you don't even need to be on their main website to do it. They offer tools right where you already browse. The source shows they've built dedicated mobile apps for both iOS and Android. Or if you're on a desktop, they have browser extensions for Chrome, Firefox, Safari, Edge, the whole shebang. Meaning, no matter what device or platform you're using, the power to instantly archive a piece of digital history is literally just one click away.
Finally, Section 4, a mission to preserve.
What's truly incredible, and maybe a little wild to think about, is that this massive trillion-page infrastructure relies entirely on the generosity of its users. As a nonprofit, they don't hide this history behind paywalls, and they absolutely don't charge subscription fees. Instead, the whole operation depends on a global community clicking that little heart-shaped donate button to keep human knowledge free and accessible for everyone.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a thought about your own role in digital preservation. We started off looking at how easily an article about infinite knowledge can just vanish into the ether of a 404 error. We've seen the unbelievable scale of what the Wayback Machine preserves, from 78 RPM records to 1 trillion saved web pages. And we've seen how easy it is to use the Save Page Now tool right on your own browser. Knowing how fragile our digital world actually is, what piece of history will you choose to capture today? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.